Welcome to head coach Scott Satterfield's off-season press conference. Coach starts off with a quick opening statement. Please raise your hands for questions. Coach?
All right, man. Hope everybody's doing good. We right now, as everybody knows, we're finishing up the recruiting season as far as coaches out on the road. Most all our guys are still out to finish up this week, ending on Friday. I've been out as well, so finishing all that. Our guys have been back now. This is the third week they're going on, and man, it's been a good start so far. Talking with Coach Nico and his staff, really excited about the crew that we have. I think as everybody knows in college football nowadays, it's a little bit of a reset and a restart every year now, and we're not any different. I think this year, I think we have 28 guys that we're going to have new scholarship guys that are here this semester, including 15 transfers and 13 high school players that enrolled early, which seems to be a trend now that everybody is doing, coming in early, and which is great. We get to work with these freshmen. And then how quickly can we advance them? And then, guys, there's certain needs that we had to go out and get, not as many as we did. Well, several of those guys are great attitudes. All of them are working really hard. I think the thing that we've done is, last year kind of reset our culture, and was the one thing that was really strong for us. And the other thing that we've done is be able to retain the guys that we needed to retain off the last year's team, and I think that has been huge for us. Dante Corleone, man, what a great guy to be able to keep around here for another year. Guys like Joe Royer that had an opportunity to go to the NFL and decided to come back. Gavin Gerhardt, which is one of our best leaders on our team this year, will be a 3-time captain for us. And, those guys are leading like crazy right now on this football team to be able to keep those guys. And I think for us, it's always been kind of my formula. You got to recruit well. You got to recruit great players. You have to retain the great players, and that's never been more the case now in the college football. And then obviously you have to develop these guys, and and that's what we're doing. We're developing our young players. We're making them better, but we're also developing great players like Joe Royer, a guy who stayed because he wants to continue to develop. He recognizes that NFL, that's not a developmental league. You need to do all you can while you're in college to continue to develop, so when you get there, you're ready to go. So we're proud of our staff, our recruiting staff, and our coaches to be able to build this team to where we are right now. And now it's just a matter of putting a lot of work in and continue to take this program at some great heights. But as we start next week, all our coaches will be off the road. We'll be back. We'll be able to work with them, meet with them, and start doing a lot more football type things. And so that's exciting as well to be able to see them up close and personal. I'll open it up with any questions.
With the way college football is now, there's such incredible turnover when a coaching change happens. Does it feel like you're finally in a place where, like, there's a leveling? There's not as much. It's not as much of a roller coaster. It's more kind of linear now, point A to point B, without as many bumps in the road.
Yeah, well, for us, yeah, absolutely. This is. I've been here 2 years now, and then to start year 3 at this point, man, when you obviously feel a lot better. We certainly have continued in an upward trajectory, in a lot of aspects. culturally, people throw that word around a lot, but that is so critical. It's in a way better place than it was. Obviously, the first year, we got better last year. We're going to get better this year by retaining so many of these guys. So many young guys that played last year, the most we had that's played around here in a long time. To have all those guys back now, you're going to be a year under their belt. They're going to get a lot better as well. So that part is all exciting, man. We're really fired up about that. The other thing is that, I've been here 2 years. We have not had an indoor facility. We haven't had any practice facilities. We've been using everything at Nippert, and still having to go out and recruit these guys that are going out, and when they're visiting, man, we're competing against all these other Power 4 schools. They have they have an indoor, they have the nice things, and yet we're still able to get these guys to come play for us. So this new center that we're getting ready to build, that's going to be ready here in a few months, is game changer for us. It's going to level the playing field. We're going to be able to be a much more connected football team. day in and day out. And we've talked about that a ton, but that's so important to be able to have that connection. And so, yeah, I mean, we're obviously gaining it and still growing it to where we need to be extremely competitive in this Big 12. We know how it is. Every game's tough, and you have to do everything you can to figure out a way to give yourself an edge when you're going to play these games.
You've got a lot of new guys to talk about, but is there any one guy, like last year was Gold Day? It's like, wow, how did we sneak this guy in? Is there anyone or couple guys that are similar in that category?
I hope all of them. I mean, quite honestly, I mean, Gold Day is an awesome player and a great human being. I think you mentioned Gold Day, but just because he was at a smaller school, and didn't have a ton of notoriety coming in. A guy that just right off the bat is Jeff Caldwell from Lindenwood. I don't even know if I've really ever heard of Lindenwood, quite honestly. But when we watched him play, I was like, man, he's got some talent and got tremendous amount of length. So a guy like Jeff Caldwell could be a Goldie type player for us this year. We've only been here for a couple of weeks now, but I mean, he's a guy that is 6'5", extremely long arms, has really good hands, but also very athletic. I mean, he broad jumped over 11 feet this week. And I think that's the top on the team. Anything over 10 is outstanding. He's at 11. So he's got extreme vertical in 2 steps. He's eating up 10 yards. I mean, so he's a different kind of player. And, the other thing with him is, being at Lindenwood, I mean, not really a knock on him, but coming in here with Coach Nico and his staff for the next 6 to 7 months and being able to put some great strength on his body to be able to get stronger when you're playing out here with the kind of guys we got to play against. So I think he'll certainly be a guy that will I think turn some heads, coming from a small school. But we're excited about all these guys. I mean, for sure, Tywee Walker's a guy who's very productive. He's played at Nippert. He was at Oklahoma, and came out here and played that day and then went to Wisconsin last year and it was very productive there, close to 900 yards rushing in the Big Ten. So, ironically, he kind of really favors Corey Connor. I mean, quite honestly, when he came in on his visit, he was 221 pounds, at about 5'9". So very similar to Corey. He wants to get down. He wants to play around 215. So I think he'll probably end up being maybe a little heavier than Corey. A great pass protector, but he can run. He runs hard, So I think he'll be very similar, with that. And, so I'm excited about the running back room, getting Pryor back. I mean, who's one of the big play running backs throughout the country. And I think he could even have a more expanded role next year as well. Cyrus Allen's a guy. I mean, he can run. I mean, he can run. And so, he's a guy who was a La Tech, then he went to A&M last year, started for them, and I think he could have a breakout year for him as well. Caleb Goody, I mean, he was one of the fastest receivers last year in the country. I think he was 5th or 6th in the country, according to Catapult. It was over 22 miles an hour, close to 23 miles an hour. We all know that we had to get faster out there at the wide receiver position. So now, with Caldwell, you got some size, but then with Caleb Goody and Cyrus Allen, you got some speed. And then Noah Jennings, I think, is just a very solid football player. He's a punt return guy. He's a guy that's very smart. And I think he'll be added to the mix, along with like guys like Tony Johnson, who had 6 touchdown catches last year. So I feel like our receiver room, we really helped ourselves there with some speed there. That's really what we want to go after.
Kind of continuing with the wide receivers, how much did Brendan recruit those guys along with the coaching staff, and how much was it like, I think this kid could do a lot for the offense?
Oh, if we didn't have Brendan, we're probably not getting these guys. I mean, that's how important Brendan was in the recruitment of these wide receivers. I mean, I think as a wide receiver, you're not going to any school that you don't think can throw the football, and so he obviously has a ton of arm talent. And he recruited these guys from day one. As soon as we could get a hold of them and get them in here, he was recruiting them, calling them, talking to them. Obviously, when they were here, hanging out with them the whole time. But again, we don't get them if we don't have Brendan's our quarterback and somebody that's fully invested in trying to get the best receivers we can possibly get.
How important is Patrick Gerd? You got a tight end, not necessarily a Joe Royer type tight end, but a Francis Sherman type guy, and he's got a title and some experience. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, huge for him to get a national championship at Ohio State, and he brings he's a lot bigger than Sherm. I think he's a 6'4", 6'4.5" guy that's close to 250 pounds. So He's also a big-time special teams player. You know, he was on a lot of the teams there, special teams at Ohio State. And he'll just add that a guy on the edge of the offense that can provide some great blocking there. And you know, and he obviously there's a huge role for us on this team. It also enables you know Gavin and Zahersky and those guys to continue to develop and grow, because we think they're going to be outstanding tight ends as well. So we all know we like to use some of these tight ends, and you know, and I think he's just going to be a great addition to our offense. And you know, Joe Royer was huge in that recruitment because obviously they played together, and you know, and I think. Joe obviously feels very comfortable here, and so just kind of tell him all about it. And so we were able to get him to slide down here and hopefully help us go, you know, compete for a Big 12 championship.
What do you want Sorsby to focus on this offseason, especially taking into account, you know, his play down the stretch this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be more consistent. We all know that. You know, I do think, you know, we did play some better defenses there in the last 5 games. You know, with some more man-to-man stuff. We had struggles getting guys loose and free, and it obviously made Sorsby's job a little bit tougher. But I think more than anything, you know, taking what they give us and not forcing it, man. You know, the games where we got in trouble, we turned the ball over. We all know that, and we got to take care of the football. And but I do think, you know, another year in this offense. He'll be a lot more comfortable, but it's really just more consistency in his decision-making. It's really what it comes down to. He's got the talent. He obviously can run. We got to utilize his legs more, I think. That'll help open up some things in the passing game, but also decision-making is what it comes down to, you know. And then I think it's a lot easier when you got a guy that can knock the top off. You know, if defenses know you're not stretching the field vertically, then they're able to sit on a lot of things this way. It makes those windows a lot tougher. So we got to do a much better job, coaching-wise, stretching the field horizontally and vertically. We got to really open this field up. You know, I felt like at times last year it was like we're playing on a volleyball court, you know, and we're playing on a football field, so we got to use the field. You know, we got to use everything from sideline to sideline, as well as pushing the ball down the field. That's going to help open things up, and also it's going to help open things up for guys that can run. So you think about Pryor. When he gets a little bit of space, you know, he can go. And I just mentioned all these wideouts. Same thing with those guys. If they get some space, they're going to be able to make big plays. We got to do a better job coaches-wise to really open that up.
You lose your 2 outside safeties. It on paper at least looks like there's a bunch of numbers at the star. Do you look at seeing maybe how to spread some of that talent out? Absolutely,
yeah. We gotta be able to do that and try to figure out who the best guys for the best positions. You know, we do play with the 3 safety system. You know, but we got to be able to find spots for those guys. You know, a guy like you know, Stokes, who's a outstanding player. We got to find a spot for him. You know, Saints was a freshman last year, but did some great things. You know, I think the star spot for him is really good. Sabor is a guy who I think could be an outstanding football player for us. And we got to find a way to get him on the field. Like, he's one of our most explosive players, and he's like a heat-seeking missile. So finding a way to put him on the field. You know, we did. We brought Harrison in, who's a guy who started games at Tennessee. I feel like, you know, he can certainly help us. We just got to find the best spot for him at one of those, you know, safety positions. Xavier Williams, a guy who led Middle Tennessee in tackling after playing quarterback, you know, and he's a 6'2.5", 215-pound big safety. Feel like he may be in that boundary safety role. But, you know, I think the thing we got some guys that are talented. You know, Taden Barnes, another outstanding player. So, who I think has got a nose for the ball. You know, so where are they best fit? And I think that's what spring practice is going to be about. Where do we find these guys to play? And, you know, but a guy like Kai Stokes, maybe, you know, we may look at him at corner. You know, I think he's a guy that's so athletic, got long arms. He's one of our fastest players on our team. Find a way to play him. You know, all these guys that can play, we don't want them standing on the sideline. We want to be on that field.
You speak about the defense, obviously, there with Christian Harrison. Matthew McDoom was another big transfer there. What do you see from him in this defense? And talk about that process to get him here out to Coach Carolina.
Just early on, and we've only been on the field just a couple of times so far. But I mean, I've heard from other players like, man, he can really go. You know, and I think, you know, guys know who can run and who can. And I think when they're making those comments, you know, he really glides across the field. He's an outstanding player, was a first-team All-Sun Belt player. He also is a return guy, which obviously we need to get better in that respect as well. So excited about what he's going to bring to the table. You know, he's a confident player, but he's got extreme speed. And I think that's something that we have to have at the corner position, because that's going to enable you to do a little bit, some different things. You you're not all the time having to drop 8. I feel like you can play a little bit more man, where you can bring some more pressure, so we can get some guys, some linebackers in the backfield. Although Bartlett did finish second in the league in sacks last year. I think some people say, well, we're not getting pressure. Well, he did finish number 2 in the league in sacks. Well, so I do think we can bring pressure. And I think if you have some guys that cover a little bit better, where we feel like we can play a little bit more man, okay, now it frees up some guys to be able to bring some pressure and maybe try to force some more turnovers. And I think that's going to be an emphasis this offseason defensively, is forcing turnovers.
So you lost a lot of experience on the offensive line. Just talk about the guys you brought in, like freshman class, in the transfer portal, and how you feel they'll fit.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, man, I'm extremely proud of these those linemen, man. They're really making some noise right now in all-star games. They just got invited to the combine as well. So, John Williams is a guy that really wasn't on many NFL radars last season, the beginning of the season, but by the end of the season, he was on everybody's radar, and that's just to credit Coach Cardwell and Seth and those guys, and John working extremely hard. So I'm proud of those guys to be able to get that are getting noticed. We brought in Tyron Tayo is another guy from Ball State. We feel like that'll come in and start at a guard position. He's a guy who's played a ton of football at Ball State. Is a big, wide shoulder, a big 320-pound guy. I think he's going to be a really good player for us on the inside. A guy that has kind of turned heads this last couple of weeks is Nolan. Big tackle, man. He's about 6'7". He can run. He can bend. Extremely smart. He's done some really nice things there. I think one position maybe if we at the end of the spring that we need to look at is maybe potential offensive tackle. We'll see how the spring goes. We got probably about 5 guys that are competing for that, and we've told all of them, man, let's go out and try to get that job. So we'll see where we're at with that. But I do think Buford's had a great offseason coming back. Obviously, I talked about Gavin. We'll see. Tangenal is another guy who's played a lot for us last year, and I think he'll take another step forward this year, and I think he'll be a starter for us as well. I mean, he's an outstanding player, very strong, one of our strongest players on our team at the point of attack. So I feel like we'll be in good shape there up front. I think for us this offseason is really just building out some depth.
You brought up speed with a lot of the transfers that you've gotten. Was that something that you noticed towards the back end of the season last year, that there was a difference in speed between you and your opponents, and was a clear emphasis?
Absolutely. Speed's the name of the game, and I think we've gotten faster. This will be our fastest team since I've been here, just overall, when you think about that, because it affects everything. It obviously affects offense and defense, but it affects special teams. And that's one emphasis for us this offseason is the teams. We got to get better, special team-wise, but speed, playmaking ability. And your technique can be off a little bit, but if I'm fast enough, I can recover, when I'm thinking defensively. Offensively, obviously, if you can run by some DBs and linebackers, then you're going to make big plays, and I think that's the name of the game. So we got faster at this team. We got more athletic again, and I think that's what you want to see, and that's where you want to trend to. When you think about special teams, obviously we got to get better there. Max Fletcher, will be our punter. Here's a guy who averaged right at 47 yards at Arkansas, one of the best punters in the country. We watched him all last fall. He can really punt it, and that's going to be critical for us on our punt team. We got to be able to flip the field. We did not win the hidden yardage. Hidden yardage is, when we calculate the special teams in the 4 core, we did not win that in the last half of the season. First half of the season, we were solid. Last half, we were not. That contributed to some of these losses, and we got to get better at the special teams aspect. But Max will be a guy that I think can do that for us. And then I mentioned several of these guys that are return guys, and that job's wide open in the punt return. I mean, that's got to be a huge emphasis there, being able to get some yards, steal some yards in punt return as well.
Speaking of special teams, do you have an update on who would be leading that group from a coaching perspective? Well,
Tim Connor's still on our staff here, and Tim's been with me for the last 4 years, and I think his role this spring will be increased. But we're gonna utilize our whole coaching staff in special teams. In the past, we have not done as much of that. I want all eyes on it. I don't want a guy in practice to slip under the cracks because we didn't have eyes on, say the left side of a punt team. Like, we got to have everybody, all eyes on it, and not let anything slip under the crack. And we got to put the best guys on the field. It's great to be able to rest some guys, but on our punt team, we need the best 11. We need the best 11 guys we can put on the punt team. That's how important it's going to be this spring. And we're going to do all we can to emphasize our special teams and all hands on deck in the coaching staff. So, but Tim will kind of oversee that right this spring. We'll evaluate it at the end of the spring as we do everything, offense and defense, because that is certainly an area for improvement. We got to get better there.
Arizona State was picked for last, won the league, went to overtime in the playoffs. What does that say, if anything, about the Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, it's very competitive, and everybody at least lost 2 games in the Big 12 last year, all the teams. So it's wide open. And I think so much of what happens in the fall is what's going on right now. I just mentioned we got 28 new players. Well, if you go look at every team in our conference, I promise you they're going to have a close to that same number, if not more. And what is that chemistry going to look like? What kind of players did you bring in? What are you going to be doing to give your team an advantage? I mean, everybody does, winter workouts. Everybody does spring practice. But what can you do to set your team apart? Those are the things that we're looking at right now. And and I know for us, we gained on it last year. Certainly wasn't good enough, but we did gain on it. And we mentioned that we beat Arizona State, and a team that won the whole thing. So we're right there. We added some good pieces to the puzzle here. We just got to have a great offseason. And I said this the other day, is that if you as a player go through this winter and you don't get better, then you let us down. You let yourself down, and you let this team down. And that has been the emphasis for this whole winter, is every single player, no matter how good you were last year, that doesn't matter. You got to get better this year and this winter. And so that is what we're focusing on. Every single coach needs to get better. Every player's got to get better. And if you're not, you let us down. And I think so far in these first 2.5 weeks, they've done that. They've worked hard. They've gotten better. We can track some things, as far as in the weight room goes. We got all these instruments and scientific studies and all this stuff that I didn't have when I played, We just went out and went hard. But we're actually tracking it, and we are way above where we were last year and the year before. So, tracking that stuff, we're in a good shape, but also, and it feels good. It feels different, and I think that's what you want. And now we'll see how much better we can get each and every day as we go through spring practice. But excited about this bunch that we got here. And I'm excited about the chip on everybody's shoulder right now. I mean, we're sitting here in January, but I mean, our guys have a chip on their shoulder to go out and play. We know we got Nebraska the first game on a Thursday night. We're excited about that opportunity, and we're sitting here in January.
Have you ever coached someone with a parent who was an All-Pro in the NFL, like Christian Harrison?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. So yeah, I mean that's and you know what? And he made himself into a player. I did some research on him. He was a guy that went to a small school, FCS school, and ended up, you talking about a guy with a chip on his shoulder. He played that way too, And I think, Christian's got a lot of same attributes. He's a kind of a quiet player, works hard, played in big time games before. He's going to bring that confidence and. But he can do a lot of things. That's a good thing. He can cover, he can tackle. So I'm excited about him, being here and adding him to the mix on our defense. But no, it was pretty cool once we, got in touch with them and started talking with them in that type of thing. But no, he's an outstanding player, and hopefully we got some of those type players on our team that'll be those kind of players one day.
Any other questions for Coach?
I'll ask another. Travis Kelce's going back to another Super Bowl. Any way to quantify what his constant mentioning of UC and wearing UC gear has done for the program?
No, I mean, I think it's awesome. I think, he's a guy who played here, and he went through a lot. His story is very unique and interesting. And to his credit, he continued to build and grow. And, he didn't sulk. He just got better. And I think he's been doing that. Obviously, he had his last year here at Cincinnati was really, really good, but he's had a better NFL career. And that just proves that he's always tried to train with a chip on his shoulder and prove people wrong, prove the doubters wrong. And he's a great example for our players. And, it's always great to be able to hear, somebody out there talking about Cincinnati and the Bearcats and how much it influenced and impacted his life. And that's what we're hoping to do with these players that we have now. And so, no, it's very cool. I have 2 players that will be playing in the Super Bowl from Cincinnati, next Sunday.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
How young were you when people told you had an awesome name?
Pop Warner, right when I started.
Have you gotten used to it now? You kind of lean into it a little bit?
Yes, sir. I love it every time I hear it, though.
Tell us about your game, what you bring to the field. I know there's a lot of excitement to get you on the outside of this defense.
Yes, sir. I'm a playmaker. I make plays. At Coastal, I was just locking up the number ones. Freshman year, I was able to go on special teams, so I was doing a lot for them at that and for that part, for kick returns. Being the gunners, just learning. And when it was my time to go out there at corner, just did my job, locking people up.
Christian, you come from UT. I can say UT because my wife actually went there. Crazy fan base, SEC, Big 12. What brought you here?
Really just opportunity. This past year at Tennessee, obviously I played a good amount, got an opportunity to start some games and all that type of stuff, but really just expanding my role and just becoming the guy on defense in that secondary.
Will it be nice?
Move the microphones up close to you guys. Make sure
Will it be nice not to hear a banjo after a score?
It's all good, whatever it is.
Kind of going off of that, what have they told you about what your role in this defense is going to be? Obviously, you played the star nickel at Tennessee. It seems like you can play deep safety as well.
Yeah, obviously this defense is a little different. We play 3D safeties, and the Sam linebacker is kind of in my position, what I was at Tennessee. But really, right now, I'm learning all three spots: the boundary safety, field safety, the middle safety. So really, just learning everything and seeing where I best fit in, and making the most of my opportunities when I get them.
For both of you guys, obviously going through this transfer portal process, walk us through what stood out to you guys about Cincinnati and Scott Satterfield and what the staff is doing.
Go first.
For me, it was the love, really. Right when I hit the portal, it was just showing tremendous amount of love. Really felt like they really wanted me, So when I came on the visit, all that love they were showing on not social media, but on the phone, really, they just poured it out right when I got here. So that really sold it.
Yeah, for me, I'll say the same thing. Really, just the love from the minute I got in the transfer portal. It's really Coach V. He kind of did everything, but Coach V, he was recruiting me hard. The whole process, blowing up my phone, it was honestly getting a little too much. But I appreciated it, of course. But yeah, it was just all the love that coaches was showing me. And then once I got up here, they kept showing me love, and I just realized, the culture, how good the culture is here, and how hard we're gonna work. So I was like, I'm all in. So that's why I came here.
On a lighter note, for both of you guys, I know you guys only been here for a few weeks. How's the snow and weather been treating you guys?
I'm from the South, so this is real new to me. I never lived in the snow, but I'm really enjoying it, though. It's really been real cool being in the snow.
Yeah, I've seen snow. My family's from Chicago. I'm from the South, though, so, it's a lot more snow than I'm used to seeing, but I'm kind of used to it a little bit, so it's all good.
Christian, did you always know, like when you started your football journey, that you wanted to be a DB, or was it kind of something that you wanted to follow in your dad's footsteps?
Really, I just playing wherever I was needed, for real. I played running back, receiver, corner, safety, like Pop Warner, and growing up. But I kind of transitioned over just strictly DB. I came into college as a corner, and then I moved to nickel this past year where I had my most success at. And, really just any DB spot where I'm needed at, and just, creating my own legacy and just doing what I'm supposed to do on the field.
The off-season stuff with Coach Nico, how does that compare to where you guys have been for both of you?
I was in the Sun Belt, so coming to the Big Ten is definitely more intense, for me, but I'm loving it. Coach Quinn at Coastal, they both came from Ohio State, so it's not the same, but similarities to what we did at Coastal, but I'm loving it.
For me, it's a lot different, I'm not going to lie. At Tennessee, we worked hard, of course, and did all those type of things, but they kind of like, I wouldn't say protect us, but it's a lot of hard work here. So, but I'm loving every minute of it, and I appreciate all of it. So.
Yeah, I was able to tour. It was amazing, honestly, just from seeing the construction, but seeing what where everything was going to be, how it was going to be set up. It's just exciting. Can't wait.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to tour it on my visit, and it's really top notch. I would say it matches up with any of the top facilities in the country, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, it's great.
Mentality on defense. What's Coach V preaching here out of the gate to get this thing really cooking in 2025?
Film right now. You know, just learning the new plays, learning the new defense that we're in. Really just staying in the film. You know, getting comfortable with it.
Really, physicality and all playing together as one. We all need to be on the same page to, accomplish what we need to accomplish on the field. And right now, we're starting that by, watching film with the coaches, getting extra film whenever we need that, and, working hard, whether that's on the field, in the weight room, whatever that is. So, yeah.
Obviously, first year for Coach Braithwaite and Coach Hicks. Talk us through what you guys have seen from those guys since arriving on campus.
Ready. Really, that's what my first words are for Coach Hicks. Just ready. He's ready to get out there, ready to teach, learn, pour into us.
Coach B, he's a real cool dude. Got an opportunity to have some conversation with him. And then Coach Hicks, I kind of knew him previously. He was at a 7-on-7 tournament I played at UGA in high school, and he kind of talked with me and my family. And so I kind of knew him previously, so it was cool seeing him and seeing him come here and stuff like that. So, yeah.
There's still, a lot of time until spring ball, then until camp and the season. But do you kind of feel like with all the new transfers that have come in and maybe a different mentality and excitement for this season to kind of turn things around?
Definitely. Right now, since it's January, right now it's just working out, so it's really just team bonding. Competing.
Yeah, it's fun, going out there competing with, the guys on the field in the weight room. And, before we look up, spring ball is going to be here, and it's going to be fall camp and season. So, just translating all that onto the actual field once we get there, it's going to be great once we all get that put on the field.
You guys have both played in decent venues, I'm sure, but what about starting the season in Arrowhead where the Chiefs play?
That's going to be crazy. That's going to be insane. I was able to play in the Eagle Stadium last year, but hearing that we're going to be in Arrowhead is just wow.
I kind of like it. I got the opportunity to play at the Steelers Stadium my freshman year. We played Pitt. But playing at Arrowhead, it's gonna be pretty cool. First game off the rip, we played Nebraska, a good team. So it's gonna be a great opportunity for us to go out and show what we can do.
Talk close to the mic. Sorry about that.
For me, it was kind of a crazy deal because I was getting ready to train for the draft and unexpectedly got another year eligibility. So I'm on my 5th year now, and so when I came apart, I entered my name in the portal. And this was schools on top of my list, and I took a visit, and it was just they treated me well, felt like home to me, and just excited to get ready to start with the boys.
In the process, how much do you look at what a guy like Corey Kiner can accomplish here, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and this running scheme, and say that that's a good fit for me? That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Man, it's very exciting to even think about it. This is a great conference, exciting conference with exciting teams, and this team specifically runs the ball very well. Got multiple guys with 100 yards, and Corey did great here, did a session. I kind of feel like we have the same type of running style, so I feel like I'm going to fit right in.
Anything bad to say about your previous head coach? People here love it. Kidding.
What do you remember from you were here with the Sooners, and it was a tight game for a while and pretty crazy. What do you remember about that?
It was a great game. Coming into it, we knew it was a smaller stadium, but the atmosphere was amazing. You would have thought we were playing in front of 200,000 people. The atmosphere was so great. That was a fun game for both sidelines. Both teams were in it the whole game, and it was just a great game, great atmosphere, and very intense. And that was just probably one of my most fun games I played in the Big 12.
The strength and conditioning portion of it, he worked with Brady last year. You get to work with Nico now. How do those two guys compare? And I know their personalities are a little different, but it feels like their process is probably pretty similar.
Oh yeah, process is pretty similar. Both guys have a lot of energy, and weight room is a big factor for both of them guys. And love Brady, and starting to love Nico. He's a great guy. I only been with him a couple of weeks so far, but I can just tell by now I'm gonna love him. He's loving me right now. So it's just, man, both great guys, both really intense in that weight room, and want you to work and gonna push you to the end. And I'm just grateful for both of them.
There's some specimens on the defensive line. Have you gotten up against those guys yet, and how's that gone?
No, I haven't gone up against any of them yet, but always have a little fun talks with Dante so far and MC. You know, a couple of those guys coming from smaller programs. I know MC went to Eastern Michigan, so I actually played against him. I didn't know it at the time, but played against him back in 23, and so just having those guys around there that have been in the MAC make me feel more comfortable coming here and making the transition.
Tyron, walk us through your relationship with Coach Cardwell so far. Obviously, only being on campus for about a month. Just walk us through what that relationship's like so far.
Yeah, so I mean, in the recruiting process, I mean, he would text me almost every day. I'd get one to two texts from him and just, you know, talk back and forth over the recruiting process. And then when I got for my visit, I mean, he's such a great guy. Like, you just tell he's genuine and he cares about his players. He wants to win. And that's what you get out of the entire O-line group is that, you know, caring for your teammates and the desire to win. And then, like, since I've been here, he's recruiting right now, but, like, during the first week, saw him a good amount, and just the amount of time he pours into making sure these new guys develop the techniques that we use here is incredible.
Dan.
Prior to digging in to Cincinnati when you entered the portal, what did you know about UC football, whether it was former players, previous success, whatever it might have been, video game, I don't know what. What did you know about UC?
I came here for a visit or camp back in high school, and at the time it was Coach Crook, I believe, and so my view on Cincinnati wasn't great because I did talk to him, and he was like, you know, yeah, we'll recruit you, all this, all that, and, you know, it just never happened. But then seeing Corey come here, I played against Corey in high school in a playoff game my junior year, and he's a great dude too, always texting me, checking up on me, and, you know, those guys like that go to a big school and they're like, man, this ain't for me. I'm going back to my home state. Like, coming back to Cincy, I knew that he was going to do well, and hearing about those guys that, you know, go to a bigger school, come back to Cincinnati, like Joe Royer. I mean, coming back here and playing ball, I mean, it's huge to, you know, feel that energy and what UC wants to accomplish.
Yeah, for me, don't know a whole lot from the West Coast, from Las Vegas, but I do know you guys have a lot of culture, especially when you guys had that great season with Sauce Gardner. I know had a lot of culture and a lot of, and I heard I played here, so like we just talked about, it was a great atmosphere. So the fans are amazing. They're into the game a lot, and there's just a lot of culture at the school, and I feel like we just the coaches are really harping on bringing that culture back and doing a great job of it in the weight room and the meeting room, and harping about bringing the culture back to the school and just make sure we do great things here.
Keegan and Scott.
Tywee, when you talk to the leaders in the team, like Dante Corleone, Joe Royer, Brennan Sorsey, what do they kind of talk about in terms of last year and kind of what went wrong and what needs to be adjusted this year to get back to having success?
Our thing is really coming together and just we got to push each other, competing, and just really push each other to our maxes. With this transfer portal, they just want everybody. College football is crazy now, so they just want everybody to come attack and be able to work together and just get as close as possible. They feel like that's one of the biggest things is getting closer and competing together, but also like one of the best interests in each other while we're competing, offense and defense, or even the same positions. Just make sure we get together and just come close and just really just get together and get as close as possible.
Coach compared you to Corey Kiner, a couple 1,000-yard seasons here, and kind of a dude that the legs keep churning. He's always moving. Is that close to what you are or similar?
Yes, I like his game. Never met him personally, so I don't know how he is as a person. But as a player, yes, he's a great running back, runs hard, and I feel like I do the same thing. So I feel like we're not far off. But yeah, I would say that.
For schools, how do you describe the fire internally to really cap this thing off, knowing the work you had to put in just to get here?
I'm so grateful because this was an unexpected year for me. Loaded running back class, and I was going to go into the draft, and it was going to be like, the running back class is so loaded, so it was going to be just going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy ride. So grateful to be here, and I'm just ready to get after and attack it, and I'm so grateful. And it's just I've been through a lot my college career, and I just can't wait to top it off here.
You played in the Big 12. You played in the Big 10. Are you excited to get back in this conference? Maybe a little bit more wide open, a little bit more space for you?
Definitely. The Big 12 added some more teams, and I feel like this is one of the most exciting conferences when you got teams like Colorado and ASU and U of A in it now. So it's just like, this is so crazy. You got teams that known for defense. You got teams that's known for air raid. You got teams that's known for run the ball. So it's just like you got a mixture of everything in the Big 12. I feel like it's the most exciting and up for grab conference in the country right now.
How the UC runs the ball, did that excite you while you were in the portal when you knew they were interested in you and you were interested in them?
Yeah, so at Ball State, we ran a lot of inside zone, stuff like that, a lot of gap scheme. But here it's a lot of outside zone, stretching the ball, and really letting the running back be athletes on the field. And, going through the process and looking at everybody's play style, that was one of my biggest questions. And, when I got to sit down and talk with Coach Cardwell about the scheme, it really intrigued me and how the pass pro set up and ran, and just how simple it really is, all in all. So, yeah.
Ty, will you walk us through your relationship with Coach Dawkins? Obviously, he's only been here for 2 years. You're just getting to UC. Walk us through what that relationship's been like so far.
He's a real cool dude, man. When he first called me, he's always been honest with me. That's my biggest thing. College football is not – it's hard to kind of find players and coaches that just upfront honest with you from the start, and that's all he's been with me, and that's why he caught my eye and caught my attention is just we were late, and he's just an upfront and honest guy. Been honest with me, told me to have a great room, and think I'll be a great addition to the room. I have to come in here and compete, and great guys in the room, and we'll get along very well, and it's just that. Competing with them guys and helping them get better and helping me get better, and just super excited to actually get to work with Coach Dawkins because we just been in workouts right now. So when spring ball gets here, I can't wait to work with him and learn from him and him get me better and teach me new things I don't know and just perfect my craft. And just excited to get on the field with him.
You're from Vegas, you enjoying our similar climate here?
Oh, not yet, but I'm hearing it gets warm, so I'm looking forward to the spring ball for sure.